Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Howdy.
Dude, let's go.
Get ready for the time of your life at Cirker Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's newest destination for fun, featuring the world's biggest poolside tailgate party with 3 levels of action, 6 pools, and a 143-foot screen. The fun is always on deck with all the games all year long. Stadium Swim, located in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street. Book the time of your life today at CircleLasVegas.com.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RowPaint.com to get that job done right.
It's time for Ball Talk with Sanford and Johnny. From what's happening on the blue at Boise State to the Mountain West and beyond. The biggest storylines, the best guests, and most outlandish opinions from 2 dudes who eat, sleep, and breathe college football. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Ball Talk with Sanford and Johnny, featuring former Boise State quarterback and longtime coach Mike Sanford and KTIK 95.3 FM The Ticket's Johnny Mallory on Bronco Nation News.
Ball Talk Special Edition Spring Camp Episode 1. What's going on, and welcome. I'm Johnny Mallory. My partner in crime, Mike Sanford. We left you on January 4th. That was our last edition of Ball Talk. Here we are about 2 months and a week later, getting you ready for spring football practice. And just the fact that my partner is here today, I mean, Coach Sanford, you've been a busy dude. It's been a hell of an offseason for you. What, the Senior Bowl, the NFL Combine? Coach, I even saw you analyze the NHL trade deadline for the Colorado Avalanche. You're analyzing a hockey. You've been grinding, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, I've been doing a whole lot of ball talk, different types of ball, right? There's been the big basketball because the Denver Nuggets, this is go season here in the Denver Metro. You got the Nuggets and the Avalanche, and I work for Altitude Station here, which is they're the principal owner is Kroenke Sports and Entertainment that own the Nuggets and the Avalanche. But I've talked football, I've talked draft, I've talked stick and puck, a little Avalanche action. But I'll tell you what, man, I've been missing having a chance to just see you, brother. You're my guy, and we've talked a few times on the ticket, which has been a whole lot of fun. And I always love jumping on with you and Prater, but it's great to be back. And thanks for BJ Rains and all the fine sponsors who make this come back to fruition. You know, I know BJ's got to raise a lot of money to get me on his airwaves.
Don't speak just for yourself on that, Coach Sanford. We got to work, a little contract extension over here too. But yeah, there's just too much to talk about. We figured we'll do a spring edition, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes, however many we need to do to kind of get this spring going. Practice 8:45 tomorrow morning, Coach. I got to get to bed early tonight. I'm showing up. BJ will be there. We wish we could see you there, but obviously a lot to get to. And I want to tease our audience real quick. There's going to be maybe the most poignant, maybe the most emotional Bronco Brew Coffee mic drop in Ball Talk history coming up in about 10, 15 minutes, huh, Coach Sanford? You're getting after it tonight on the mic drop.
I mean, I'm always spitting hot fire when it comes to the mic drop because I got to make good on my promise with Bronco Brew Coffee. I found these guys just scrolling the internet, scrolling Twitter about 6 months ago, and I absolutely love their product. So, yeah, it's gonna be some real talk, real ball talk, real recognized real, and I'm looking forward to just sharing what's on my heart and sharing what's kind of been going on in my life for the last several months and where things are headed and where we're going.
Looking forward to that, no question. Ball talk. All right, Coach. Story-filled offseason. I mean, that's putting it lightly here in Boise. Those storylines have kind of catapulted us into spring ball, which I said starts tomorrow morning. A lot of people are intrigued with this team, and there's a lot of angles, I think, to intrigue. When you're peeking at this, what's intriguing you getting ready for spring ball tomorrow at Boise State?
Well, it's been a humongous offseason, as we all know. I mean, the way that you described it mid-season last year before the decision was made for Andy Avalos to be relieved of his duties, been there. So I'm not coming from a place of it's tough. It affects lives. But, the thing that really has transpired is the offseason, right, is a time that you can win and you can lose the offseason. And I think the offseason, it really was a continuation of events for Spencer Danielson and for this Boise State program, Jeremiah Dickey and this program that has, it really rose the program from the ashes of the current situation that it found itself in, which was, to have a historically bad year relative to the last decade, 2 decades, no, actually 25 years of Boise State football, which it seemed like the season may or may not have, but was on track to have potentially the first losing season in program history. And to go from that and then ultimately get to the position of being able to play for and win a Mount West championship, play in a significant bowl game in the LA Bowl, albeit not a great day at the office after some things happened, some opt-outs, Taylor Green notably opting out, which was a sign of things to come. But, the offseason is a great time for coaches. It can be a bad time too now with the portal and NIL and just all the different storylines that can happen. Back in 10, 15 years ago, Johnny, it was more, you were worried in the offseason about, looking at the arrest reports in the morning to see if any of your players showed up on those bad boys. And let's be honest, it's happened in Boise State football history. If you remember the early mid 2000s, there's a lot going on, but really now it's all about the retention of your roster. Which I think for the most part, I think that this has been a successful offseason as it relates to the retention of the roster. I do want to note Taylor Green. I have been following his journey at Arkansas now that I'm, just a member of the media, and it seems like things are going really well for him. Bobby Petrino is going to be his offensive coordinator. You got a guy like Lamar Jackson at Louisville. I wouldn't be surprised if old Taylor's doing some big things over at Arkansas. So he's still a Bronco in my eyes, and in the way that he did handle a majority of his business with a lot of change around him. But the offseason continued with the biggest news of the offseason, I think, was about the retention of one player and the addition of another player. And it was the retention of Ashton Jeanty, which I thought was one of the biggest moments in Boise State football history relative to the current time period that we find ourselves in right now. But then, the addition of Malachi Nelson. I mean, Malachi Nelson is, as we said on this program back in January, Malachi's a guy that went to the high school that I went to, Los Alamitos High School. He was the unanimous 5-star number 1 quarterback in the 2023 class just a year ago. This is not all that long ago. And so, there have been so many big storylines, and the offseason, the excitement, the buildup is frankly unlike any Boise State year that I remember on record. And I didn't follow the program as intimately as I have over the last calendar year because I've been busy. But I certainly have followed it really closely. And
he's covering hockey, you guys. The Sandman is getting you in the crease on altitude. Like
I get to break down also on the basketball side, the 2-man game between Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. But what I would say is that Johnny, that there is a mountain of momentum and also expectations that are building, and rightfully so. This is a roster that reminds me eerily of the 2014 offense and team that Harsin and myself and the staff walked into. Because
you see some of that?
Well, think about in 2014, who was your bell cow coming out of the 2013 season? It was Jay Ajayi. There was no mistaking that. And now in 2024, there's absolutely no mistaking who is the bell cow of this program that you need to ride to get to the expectations that are massive. I mean, the expectations are massive. And for all intents and purposes, being a head coach that is an interim basis and being a head coach where you go through the offseason and you start your first game, they're two totally different situations. I've been in both. When you're an interim head coach, you do feel like you're on borrowed time. Like you have a chance to love up the players. And a lot of the hard decisions that a head coach has to make aren't necessarily going to be put on the responsibility of the interim head coach. But when you get that interim tag removed or you take a new head job, the offseason, the expectations are a new beast that you have to deal with. And I think that's going to be something to keep your eye on because, frankly, this roster and this team has so much going for it. There is so much positive news that it does feel, not to borrow a pun from a local hockey team, but it's an avalanche of momentum. And it's going to all, at the end of the day, Johnny, the thing that's really going to matter, it's going to be the 12 Saturdays in the fall and whatever other days they put the Mountain West games on. It could be a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Sunday. Who knows? But that's what you're evaluated on. That's what you do, and that's what you're working towards. And that, frankly, is what spring ball is all about, Johnny. It's about making sure that the momentum is transferred into positive growth towards the season and identifying who those players are that are going to get you to your ultimate goal, which is to be playing the CFP. What is it? 14 teams now? Is that what they're?
It's going to be 12 for 2 years, and then it'll go to 14. Yeah. And you never know; they're always changing it, obviously. But that's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for this team. And I think most people I've heard talk about it, yourself including, that's a more than realistic objective for this team. Try to get in that tournament, be a conference champion, a top 4 ranked conference champion. I think that's our top 5 ranked conference champion, and get in and try to do what Boise State's done on so many different platforms. Put them on the biggest stage in the country. They not only show up, but in most cases they win. And in case of you pulled the Statue of Liberty out of your hat in the 2014 Fiesta Bowl, coach. You were cognizant of the history. I wish more coaches would do some of that stuff sometimes. But yeah, I mean, Boise State's proven they've been able to get on that stage and do well. Now, I want to talk quarterback. There's a lot of obvious points of intrigue with this team, right? We could pick a position, I think, but quarterback, and you've coached quarterbacks who went on to the NFL that you recruited. You've inherited quarterbacks and coached them that went on to the NFL. You've had transfers come in and put quarterbacks into the NFL. What's your count, Sandman? Is it 7, 8 quarterbacks you've coached in college that have taken a snap in the NFL?
8.
It's 8. Okay. Yeah, I know 7 already. I didn't want to shortchange you. 8 quarterbacks. So I want to know how you manage reps, quarterback reps in spring ball. Reps are limited, as you know. So let's dive into that a little bit on Ball Talk in 90 seconds.
All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of premix premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. For all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, check out rowpaint.com. Don't forget about their concrete coatings. Transform that ugly concrete slab on your back patio in your garage in just one day. Contact rowpaint.com for a free estimate today. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our title sponsor at Bronco Nation News is rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union's been helping members achieve financial success for more than 80 years. There's an ICCU branch on almost every corner, but the closest is in your pocket with free eBranch mobile and online banking. See why more than 500,000 members love ICCU and join 1 in 4 Idahoans by making the switch today at ICCU.com. Since 1984, Ridley's Family Markets has prided itself on being a hometown food and drug store that employed value members of the local community. Ridley's Family Markets has 13 locations in the state of Idaho and many more in the surrounding states. Download the new Ridley's app to your smartphone. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Former Bronco Matt Bauscher is once again the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Let them fulfill all your real estate needs at BauscherRealEstate.com.
Before we get back to the quarterback and the spring camp and all that good stuff, BJ Rains, coach, wants us to give a quick little scoring update. 22-11. The Idaho, I'm sorry.
Get out of here.
Flip.
Get
the
out of
Boise
here.
State
You're
Broncos
showing your
lead
true colors,
Utah
John.
State after 1 in the
Give it
Mountain
to
West
us again.
tournament.
Say their name correctly. Say their name. I want to hear it again.
What did I say?
You said Idaho, the Idaho. You were giving a score update on Bronco Nation News, and you end up defaulting to your alma mater, the Vandals. Okay, so
I watched them play last night. I watched them lose last night.
Give me an updated score and say their name appropriately, please.
22-11. Boise State leads Utah State after 1 in the Mountain West Conference tournament.
All right, I'm good.
In Las Vegas. Coach, managing quarterback reps in spring ball. Are there do's and don'ts? Is there systems? I think we heard that CJ Tiller's going to be first in line, essentially. Spencer said that, but how do you manage reps in spring?
You know, I think it's important is this is a unique situation on so many different fronts because the guy that finished out at least the bulk of the regular season towards a Mountain West championship is no longer on the roster. And obviously not to graduation or attrition of just being a senior. But you now have the other member of that was Maddox Madsen, who it seems like he's getting all kinds of great positive updates from what I've seen with his health and with his whatever injury happened, whatever surgery he had. I haven't heard the exact update on what that was, but he's not going to be going through spring ball with live 11-on-11 reps or team reps at all. So CJ Tiller, who, took the last snaps of the season in the LA Bowl, and did it as a true freshman, did it as a young player. And, I think it's going to be important that, Spencer Danielson, Dirk Cutter, that they set out to keep this a very open competition. I think that's going to be really important. I think that's exactly how Boise State's always been. It wouldn't surprise me in the least bit that this is going to be an ongoing quarterback situation that frankly, CJ Tiller is as intimately involved in as Maddox Madsen, and then of course the big, huge news incoming transfer of Malachi Nelson. I think the reps that Malachi is going to be able to get this spring are going to be so incredibly important. You got to think about it from Malachi's perspective. Okay, he left USC, right? Went in the transfer portal. He had a quarterback room there at USC with Cliff Kingsbury and Lincoln Riley. I don't even know who else is in there. I think it's pretty much those two guys that were running the quarterback room at SC. And then he comes and commits to a program, certainly is committed to a head coach in Spencer Danielson, but he committed to an offensive coordinator and play caller and quarterback position coach in Bush Hamden. And frankly, he built that relationship. Some of it was pre-existing to the best of my understanding. And then some of it certainly was built while he was on campus with Bush for a month plus, which is a big deal when you're going away from home for the first time in your life. This is a Southern California kid that chose to play initially at a Southern California flagship school, USC, which I know from Los Alamitos to USC, it's about 29 and a half miles or so.
That's a big deal too, to be a Los Al kid to play at USC. I mean, yeah.
And he has the incredible abilities and gifts, but you got to understand that there's been a lot of change in that young man's life in a very short period of time. Not just the change from USC to Boise State, but the change from USC to Boise State to Bush Hamden. And now there's another voice in your quarterback room, and that's Dirk Cutter. And obviously Dirk Cutter has a ton of experience with the position, the wisdom, the expertise. But obviously Dirk, to the best of my understanding, is going to be doing this for 10 months ish, plus or minus. And so you're looking at potentially another person that's going to be in that seat. So you got to understand that it's going to be important for him to get settled in with what's most important as a young player coming to a new place. Is, he's got to get the relationships with the players on the team. He's got to dive into those relationships so he can start having comfort. And then the reps, as you asked, the question that was initially asked, the rep distribution, I think it's perfectly the right decision to have CJ Tiller be the first quarterback out to take meaningful snaps in spring ball and then share those 1 reps between CJ Tiller and Malachi Nelson. And then when the 7-on-7 and 1-on-1 reps come up, I think Maddox Madsen, whether it's day one or it's maybe second half of spring after spring break, I think it's going to be important for him to start integrating back into it and keep this thing very competitive. But the reps are going to be really important for Malachi Nelson, because I did a lot of background homework on Malachi about his experience at SC. He didn't get a lot of reps at SC. So these are really going to be his first college practice meaningful reps. And I think it's going to be really important for him to just get settled in and find that comfort, find those relationships that transcend what has already been a lot of change in his position room with coaching.
Maddox Madsen, it's hard for me to say, it doesn't affect him at all. Won't even affect him. He can't go full on spring. I mean, there's some effect to that, right? What is it? I mean, I know it helps. He knows Dirk. Dirk knows him. Dirk loves him. There's a great rapport there. I think Mad Dog's got a shot to start Georgia Southern week 1, coach, but not being able to go through this. You've probably had starting quarterbacks who didn't do a lick in spring for whatever the reason. And what do they suffer by not at least being to be out there and take physical reps? How's Mad Dog looking at this?
I think Mad Dog's excited because Mad Dog himself had a relationship with Dirk Cutter in the 2022 season, right? He was in that meeting room. I think I've heard even you on the ticket say that he was elevated to QB2 when Coach Cutter took over. So there's obviously something that Coach Cutter really does like about Maddox Madsen's game. And so Maddox Madsen has to realize that he's got a great shot to be the quarterback, even with all the external noise and hype and pomp and circumstance that rightfully do follow a 5-star quarterback that was the number 1 quarterback in all of America as a high school senior in Malachi Nelson. So I think ultimately it's going to come down to who performs the best. But I do think it's really important for that group of quarterbacks in this day and age of just massive transfer quarterbacks, right? It happens every year, happens so much. I mean, it affected Boise State, one leaving and one coming in, and that's exactly what happened. Frankly, TG10 was a very, very physically capable player, a guy that I, to this day, would have loved to have gotten my hands on as a guy that loves developing quarterbacks. But I think it's really important to develop deep relationships, not just with the players, but also the coaching staff. And whatever whatever happens next with the coordinator position, I think it's going to be important that it's not going to be brand new to a guy like Malachi or Maddox in 2025, because there's already been a lot of change. The program's seen change, frankly, Johnny, like it hasn't seen in the last 25 years.
How many important 11-on-11 reps do you think in a regular spring practice are these quarterbacks going to get?
Typically, the periods are about 20 plays, 16 to 20 plays per normal 11-on-11 period, but a lot of them have an emphasis. So, your day one installation that you put in is typically, for your base run game, your play action game. If you're an RPO team, the RPO that's based off of the base run game. And so that's, it's a heavy run emphasis, but you will get some play action and some bootleg naked game off of that as well. So you're looking at 20 plays per period. And I've been to a place that has as many as 4 racks of 20. So you're looking at almost playing a game of 11-on-11 football, but you are rotating. Typically I like to do 6 plays with the 1s, 4 with the 2s, and then 2 plays with the 3s. So you get like a 6-4-2, 6-4-2, and you just keep adding that back up. And that would typically end up being like a 6-4-2, 6. And then the last one is just 2 1-reps. So you're looking at, so anywhere between, I'd say 60 and 80 team reps. And I think that this is most likely, you're going to see probably Colt Fulton get, most likely the 3 reps. So you're going to see a divide of the 1s and 2s. So say those 6 and 4, and I'm speaking from my experience, not what Spencer and Dirk are doing there at Boise State, but, of those 6 and 4, say, you're going to have CJ start out and get the first 5 with the 1s. And then Malachi gets the last one with the 1s into the next set of 4 with the 2s, and then flip it around possibly either the next period of practice or potentially the next day, just to see how they operate with different groups.
What's it like? And I bet coaches love both, because both present major challenges, and coaches, you guys love challenges, right? Like, you could have that senior veteran quarterback returning where there are no competitions other than quarterback 2. And the project is to take QB1 to an even higher level than he's been the previous 2 years. We're going to get you to the league. That's the one option that I'm sure has a ton of comfort for offensive coordinators and coaches. This option, I mean, you see this all across America too. You don't know who your week 1 starter is. There's a couple guys who think they have a shot. So that's the challenge for really the whole team. Everybody in the building knows that there's a quarterback competition. I mean, I don't know how you address it. Maybe it's like talking about the no-hitter in the middle of a baseball game. Leave the pitcher alone on it. I'm not sure. What have you noticed? I mean, totally different challenges, having a guy and then finding a guy. But I bet coaches, Dirk Cutter right now, and these guys, they're loving the opportunity to find a guy, right? Totally different spring camp philosophies there.
Yeah, I think this one is so dynamic and unique and different than probably a lot that any coach has ever experienced. Not just because you have a returning starter in Maddox Madsen. Mm-hmm. Returning starter. And then you have a guy that started a game as a true freshman, CJ Tiller. And the thing that's unique about Maddox Madsen is he is the face of maybe a lot of disgruntled fans' opinion of the 2-quarterback system. And so you're looking at a situation where, he kind of was the face of that because it was TG10's offense, and then it wasn't. And it was like arbitrarily switching out the quarterbacks, which to this day, I still don't understand. And I anything that I ever said was never based off of one of my former teammates and friends. It's just me being a member of the media and just be like, what is the decision of who's playing and when? Like I was at the CSU game during it. And I'm like, okay, what's the rhyme or reason? I couldn't, even with as much as I've been around the game of football, I couldn't figure it out.
Wow.
And Maddox Madsen's the face of that. To the fan base, at least, right? Not to the coaches. Not to the coaches. Point. They're going to look at it and see what I actually see of Maddox Madsen. He reminds me a lot of Grant Hedrick, where he doesn't have the length, he doesn't have the height, he doesn't necessarily have any insane talents that are like mind blowing, but he seems like if trained properly over time, can do repeatable things very well, consistently accurate, can take off and run when needed. Can move the sticks when it's 3rd and 3 with his legs. Can be the tough guy that gets smacked and he gets right back up. That's exactly who Niner was. I mean, I've said this so many times. I've coached 8 NFL quarterbacks, and I think my favorite year of coaching was coaching Grant Hedrick.
Wow,
because he was so fun to be able to play the game through him and watch him execute the plays.
You always said Hedrick, like you'd be up at the Sky Center in the Stickle in your coach's box and you could see the play develop. And you've told me before, like, it's like you and Grant Hedrick shared a mind. You would think that's open. Grant would throw to the open guy. Like you guys were able to see everything develop at the same time, having 2 completely different viewpoints. He's on the field. Yeah, you're 500 yards away from him, or however many yards. And that's a cool, that's probably cool when you think back and you're thinking about all the quarterbacks you work with and some of those the relationships that you're able to develop and stuff like that. I love Sandman Grant Hedrick stories. Those are the best.
My guy, man. It's my guy. I mean, I would take a bullet for that young man, but
love it.
I really would. And he actually has been in the line of fire as an officer, just a tremendous human being. But, the other part of this is, like I just said, like from a fan base perspective, which like I'm a member of the fan base. I'm a member of the media of Boise State. I'm not a coach right now. So I don't look at Maddox Madsen the same way that Spencer Danielson, Matt Miller, Dirk Cutter look at him. They're behind the scenes. They know what he's done. They know more of the why of the 2-quarterback system. We don't. I don't. And I don't think anybody does. But then on the flip side, as a fan, as an observer, and as a coach, this does impact you, is that you have this incredibly naturally gifted player in Malachi Nelson. And so, like, it is a dead sprint of developing that young man. I mean, it's a dead sprint to get to the opening game of the season because there are no other Group of 5 schools in America. There is not one other Group of 5 school in America that has the unanimous number one quarterback in all of high school football in America, just 1 year removed. And so it is a dead sprint to develop that young man. And it is your job when you're a coach. And I've been in those situations. Like, that's my job. That's my livelihood. Like, I'm literally fighting to keep food on the table for my family to get this young man to the starting line, which really is the finish line of the offseason, which is to start against Georgia Southern. And so it's a really unique, really dynamic situation that I think is going to be really, it's going to make for great radio, great podcasts, great ball talk. And,
absolutely.
and we're here for it.
Coach,
we're all here for it.
It's mic drop time. It's going to be, I think, the best mic drop maybe we've ever had on this show. You'll get it in 90 seconds.
Bronco Nation News is sponsored by Tommy Alquist and Ball Ventures Alquist, Idaho's premier commercial real estate development company. BVA projects specialize in office, retail, flex, medical, and industrial spaces located at some of the most strategic and visible locations in the valley. Need a developer? Looking for new space? Think BVA. At BVA, we are Idaho's developer. The Nicolason family and SON management have proudly been operating Taco Bell restaurants in and around the Treasure Valley since 1969. One of the first to make a 7-figure donation to the Lyle Smith Society, they've also stepped up their support of Boise State athletics with the Taco Bell men's and women's basketball endowed scholarships. The Nicolason family and SON management have committed at least $310,000 by 2026. Get more information on their financial support of Boise State athletics and find information on applying to work at Taco Bell at TacoBellWorks.com. Lithia Ford of Boise is a proud supporter of Boise State athletics and the official car and truck of the Broncos. Lithia Ford of Boise supports Bronco student athletes through NIL deals, including providing Ford vehicles to Taylon Green and Riley Smith from the football team and Paige Barsh from the volleyball team. Rain's family purchased our F-150 from Lithia Ford. Couldn't be happier with the purchase. Check out the all-electric F-150 Lightning or the electric Mustang Mach-E at Lithia Ford, and make sure to check out their full inventory of vehicles at LithiaFordBoise.com. The Blue and Orange Store is the perfect spot to get all your gear for your next Bronco game. The Blue and Orange Store has official Nike apparel, including jerseys, shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, and more. Wear what the Broncos wear and get it at the Blue and Orange Store, the second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall, or get free shipping on a $40 order online at theblueandorangestore.com.
All right, Coach, let's get back to it. It's our Bronco Brew Coffee mic drop. Go for it, Coach.
All right, before I jump full speed ahead into that, Logan, I hear you, I see you, and I'm here for all of it, is that I wish that they would read more of the comments. I read all of them. I'm always watching, so when my eyes look like they got googly eyes and I'm getting weird, I'm reading the comments. In fact, I've been wanting to look for a spot to answer what has been, I think, one of the more unique questions so far in our Ball Talk edition, spring edition here, is that at Sanford from Andrew Hill, you drinking some eggs? So he was referring to this right here, which is actually that's a lemon. I blew out my vocal cords yesterday, over the last 5 days, actually, with all the stuff post-combine. But then after the combine yesterday, I had 7 different games between my two sons, between soccer season starting and end of year basketball tournament. So I am drinking some hot tea that my wife prepared for me, because Johnny Mallory knows all the tricks about being a talking head. Is when you're a talking head, a lot of times your vocal cords go by the wayside. So to both Logan, we hear you, we smell you, and we're with you, and we always love our comments and our viewers. So let's get to the mic drop. The one that it's been a long time coming. We're looking at nearly 3 months since our last, more than 3 months since our last mic drop, and January 4th, as you said, Johnny. First off, the mic drop with Coach Mike Sanford, which is me, which is weird that I just said my name, Coach Mike Sanford. Anyway, the mic drop is brought to you by Bronco Brew Coffee, the best coffee that you can get shipped from anywhere in the United States, anywhere in the world, because they bring these coffees in internationally. They bring them into Boise, they roast them, they put sweet Boise State logos on them. And then when you subscribe to this awesome endeavor, you get to choose where your NIL money from the proceeds go to. Get your Bronco Brew Coffee. I've been a subscriber. I need to resubscribe. We've done a lot of traveling, so I haven't been subscribed in the last couple of weeks and months. But I'm gonna put my. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna put mine with the tight end. I love the tight end position, so I'm going with who's my guy again? Maddie.
Matt Lauder, San Diego.
I didn't want to say Lauder. Matt Lauder. He's gonna be my NIL Bronco Brew coffee guy because I want the tight ends to be a huge part of this offense. So getting to my mic drop here, I just wanted to start out by making sure that I know there's a lot of listeners. You guys make me want to come back. This fan base, Boise State, has made me feel so intimately involved with this program, particularly in the last year. I didn't have a college football team for the first time in my entire life. My dad coached college football, and then I coached college football for the last 18 years. In the 2023 season, I was like, I got to go back and dive back into my alma mater, and BJ Rains and Johnny Mallory and Bronco Nation News, but most importantly, you, the listeners, allowed me to dive back into reconnecting with my alma mater. And it was a beautiful thing, even to get to the point where I get to raise the blue chaos flag and get the 12th man riled up. Hopefully it was up to your standard. But I just wanted to address the elephant in the room. I've been a long time offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. I've been on these airwaves here on Ball Talk with Johnny and talked specifically about my situation with University of Colorado in 2022, having a chance and opportunity, being blessed enough to be able to reconnect with my family. My wife, Anne Marie's been through 14 moves in 18 years. Now, I've even referred to the fact that my daughter, Peyton, who's now 14 years old, has gone to 11 different schools. And I didn't want her to go to a 12th. That's a reality. And so I've begun the process of having a pivot into the media space and been really fortunate and blessed for this show, actually, Ball Talk, to be the very first show that I did. And I never did this show because I wanted to coach again at Boise State. I did this show because I wanted to provide for my family and fight for the food that's on our table for not just next year and the year after, but for decades to come. And this media space is something that I've been able to get into. So I haven't been looking for a coaching job at all. I haven't committed to it because of the reality of my situation here. Of course, I've networked with guys that are friends of mine. The National Football League, I think to everybody who's been in college, is something that's appealing. But I'll be honest and frank about the NFL right now. There's so many college coaches that are on some of your favorite teams that are trying like heck to get out of college football. And I saw it at the Senior Bowl with, it was about 10 college coaches for every NFL coach that was there, 10-to-1 ratio.
Wow.
Just to speak on how much people are trying to get in the NFL. So I haven't pursued actively, or even there's no applying for jobs in college football or pro football. It's not like you submit a resume and then they kind of look over it. It's all about who you know, about your experiences, your connections. And so I didn't attempt to get involved in any college football jobs in this offseason, to the extent of a few that did come in my direction, one of which I won't talk about, just out of respect for the head coach, who's a friend of mine, did come in my direction. And it was in an area that would make some sense for my family and where we're from and what our connections are in both college football and all of our friends. But it just wasn't the right fit, and we knew it. And a couple months went by. And of course, I was hit right upside the head with the reality of my former teammate, Bush Hamden, getting hired at University of Kentucky. And of course, the natural reaction between my wife and I is, wow, like this is crazy. And I thought about it, and I said, this is a place that certainly I love, but I'm not going to go full head of steam after this. I didn't want to be disingenuous about, my interest in moving my family again. So I just kind of wanted to just take it one day at a time, see what happens. And so I'll confirm there was interest, and the interest did come in my direction with Boise State. And I will say that was the one place that my wife and I thought that we would want to have as a possibility to relocate our family and not think about going for a 1, 2, or 3 year type of a living situation. But the decision that I really thought about was, how can I get my daughter, who starts high school next year, through 4 years at the same high school? And I thought that no matter what happened, if I did have a chance to be the offensive coordinator or quarterback coach at Boise State, if I did have that opportunity, regardless of if things went well or not, we were going to sink roots in a place that we love, with a lot of connections to friends and family that are in Boise, Idaho. So there was interest. There was definitely interest on both ends at one point or another. The bottom line is this, Spencer Danielson's the head coach at Boise State. He made a decision. He made a decision to hire Dirk Cutter. I don't think anybody, myself included, can say that why the heck would he do that? I mean, Dirk Cutter is the reason why Boise State is on the map like it is today. I was there. I was part of his final recruiting class at Boise State for the 2000 season before he left for Arizona State, and then onward to the NFL and being a head coach in the National Football League. But, he's certainly been, and this is now his third stint as a coach at Boise State. He's been a head coach that built this program really kind of from the doldrums and built it up and got it to the position where Coach Hawk and Coach Pete, Coach Hars took it to unprecedented levels. But, the bottom line for me in looking at this situation, how it all went down, is that I have a unbelievable, just deeply rooted belief in my heart that what happened for a reason. I'm in the right spot. I would never have had a chance yesterday to be at 7 of my children's games. I have a chance to grow a career on both the TV side, and the radio side here in Denver, which is just a thriving sports town. And most of all, I have a chance to be a dad and be a husband. Anne-Marie's sacrificed a whole lot. And so I know that the right things happen at the right time. And so the way that I want to approach this with what I'm doing now with Ball Talk and Spring Ball, what I'm going to be doing during the fall, is that I want to acknowledge, as part of my mic drop, a huge part of college football. And I've been a part of it for nearly 2 decades. And it's the relationship between coach and media member, or coach and public. And I have been exposed for far too long where the coach uses and weaponizes the media to push the narrative of what they want to push. And that is the furthest thing of what I want to be, of who I am, of why I'm choosing to get into the media. Even this mic drop right here, I don't want this to be for selfish reasons. I want to address an elephant in the room because we have great viewers and great listeners that flood our comments. And I don't want them to ask every single week, were you involved in the job? Were you interested in the job? I want to come and get in front of it. And honestly, I just want truth to prevail. I want to tell that I was interested in the job. It went in a different direction. And I have a tremendous piece about where my family is right now, where I'm at, where I'm headed, where things are shaking and moving. And also to acknowledge that Boise State is clearly a very special place to me. But I also wanted to extend to the coverage that I'm doing with Johnny, with Prater, with BJ, with Boise State. This was the first opportunity I had in media, was Ball Talk, was BNN. And I always want to be a part of this, no matter how this thing goes. I could be on ESPN or I could be on local news in Topeka, Kansas. It doesn't matter. I want to continue to do Bronco Nation news. And I want to do it with truth. I want to do it with honesty. And what I want to do as the year goes on is I'm going to be analyzing the games with Johnny, highlighting the interesting stories, and then just calling the game from the experience that I have and calling the spade a spade based off what I see, not based off of what I want the public perception to be about what I think. Because that's not why I got into this thing. I want to be a truth teller. I want to be in this thing to educate the fan base, our awesome listeners and viewers. And I want to continue to do Bronco Nation news for years to come. I love Boise State. It greatly impacted me. Am I in the dumps because I'm not the offensive coordinator? No, I know exactly what was supposed to happen. And it comes from my deep lying faith. And that I really believe that my steps are directed by the man that I call, my God. And I don't always talk about my faith. I don't always profess my faith. I want my faith to be in the actions that I show behind the scenes, behind the curtain. And that's really important to me. And I know where I'm at right now is part of his plan for my life. And I'm so excited to be a part of BNN for this year to come. And I'll keep you guys tuned with everything that's going on Boise State for this spring ball and what I can find out from Denver, and then everything going forward this fall. It's going to be an absolute wild adventure, and I can't wait to be on it with you guys. So with that, I'm going to drop this dang mic.
Yes, that was there's not even a number 2. I don't even know what the number 2 or 3 would be in the all-time mic drops, Coach Sanford. Let's get to some of these questions, Coach. We'll do all this stuff and we'll get you out of here and get ready for spring ball in 90 seconds.
You looking for a new job? Well, how about getting into the trucking industry? Our friends at Transportation Compliance Service can help you every step of the way, whether it's the big rig on your screen, the Amazon truck in your neighborhood, all the paperwork, all the things you need. Let them help you out. Transcomservice.com. They'll have you out there towing that first load in no time. Transcomservice.com. The pounds continue to fall off, and it's thanks to Dave and our friends over at Lean Feast. Check them out, leanfeast.com/Meridian. Full customizable meal prep. You want to go into the store, pick out your meals individually, that's great. It's right there on Eagle Road in Meridian. Or you can do it all online at leanfeast.com/Meridian, and they'll deliver it to you. 208-487-5782. They're feeding the football team, the basketball team, Taylon Green, Ashton Genty, Tyson Degenhart, and more. Check them out, Lean Feast, leanfeast.com/Meridian. Still time to get that fall round of golf in, and you need to do it at Timberstone Golf Course out in Caldwell. Book a tee time at playtimberstone.com. The best greens in the valley, new technology, new golf carts, friendly environment, fun, challenging course. Check them out, Timberstone Golf Course. Book your tee time today, and I'll see you out there. Playtimberstone.com.
All right, there we go. Yeah, you need some
Gotta
water.
wet my whistle, baby. Gotta wet that whistle.
DJ on that. Okay, Coach. Before we get to some of the comments, we'll answer those. When you have kind of the abnormally high profile transfer portal or transfer quarterback coming in, and is the case that Malachi Nelson will deal with, and we'll see him throw for the first time in a Boise State helmet tomorrow. You have any experience with that when the high profile quarterback shows up?
I actually do. It was my first year of coaching, and this is going to blow your mind. So my dad's the head football coach at UNLV. He had just gotten there. My dad is a USC guy. He played at SC, coached there for a decade combined between a GA stint and then receiver coach from 1989 and 1996. So he gets hired at USC, and one of his first he gets hired at UNLV as the head football coach in 2005. And one of his first transfer that he got, which was an old school transfer where they sit out for a calendar year. So it wasn't the immediate portal. You're able to play. You're going to get some cash. So his first guy was a big time recruit out of USC from LA. His name was Rocky Hines, 6'4", 228 pounds, twisted steel, could make every throw in the catalog. And the irony was that the quarterback that was the incumbent that was there was Shane Steichen, who is now the head football coach of the Indianapolis Colts.
Right.
It was interesting. So Rocky came from SC, came from that environment. And frankly, as a result of recruiting him to UNLV, I think there's some things that you think that as the quarterback that's coming to a new place where you are the big fish in the small pond, that there's going to be preferential treatment towards you because, I'm doing you guys a solid coming to lowly UNLV from USC as this national recruit. And I think that took some time to kind of undo a lot of that. And the other thing that Rocky Hines came in with was he came in with some injury history. He had some pre-existing knee operations, some stuff that happened. And so Rocky did some very good things at UNLV, but ultimately, as we all know about UNLV football over the last 40 years, no head coach has ever left that program on their own accord. We'll see if Barry Odom will do that this year after the 24 season. But the program has had very little to no success. Rocky was very talented, but it just never materialized. A combination of injuries, and ironically, it was Shane Steichen who kind of ended up being the guy that took the bull by the horns and did some really good things. And now he's an NFL head coach. But it's funny. I was a GA and even
at UNLV, right?
Yeah. So I was a graduate assistant. I had very little input on just how everything was going down. And even as a young 24-year-old graduate assistant, I just watched the quarterback coach, with Rocky Hines. And I just thought about how I do things so differently. I would just train him differently. I would have him learn the way of what is expected of him before trying to give the keys to the castle. And it's a hard deal when you do go from big fish to small pond, which Boise State is not a small pond, but relatively speaking in the massive landscape of college football, you're the number one quarterback in America. You go to USC with Lincoln Riley as your position coach, head coach, play caller, who the names associated with Lincoln Riley in the position are Jalen Hurts, are Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Give me some more. Kyler
Murray.
Kyler Murray.
Yep. Spencer Rattler for a year or two there before Caleb Williams. Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about Heisman winners and Heisman Trophy finalists. So I just think that it's going to be important everything I've heard from Malachi, and I have a great relationship with Danny Hernandez, his quarterback trainer down in Southern California, is that he's handling himself incredibly well in terms of not being too cool for school, not being the guy that is acting like he's the big fish in the small pond, but is willing to humble himself to get to the place where he can earn the right to be that guy with his habits. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
I mean, am I going to be able to tell, oh yeah, that's the 5-star? Is the ball going to whistle? I mean, what are the expectations like that? I've never seen a 5-star quarterback on the blue wearing Boise State gear or whatnot. I mean, what should my expectations as a media member be tomorrow at 8:45 when I see this kid start to spin?
Well, I think first, oh gosh, I lost my Wi-Fi connection right there. I got a little animated right here. I have one of those little micro Wi-Fi pods, and it just went crazy. Anyway, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, I got you, man. Let's do this.
Let's do this. I think first is that you got to realize the 8:45 in the morning is an early time in the morning. Don't go out there and look for the first 10 throws and be like, "Ooh, he's not as good as I thought." And honestly, I wouldn't even judge too much based off the first practice. But you should see, you're going to see the length. You're going to see the natural throwing process. I studied Malachi in the offseason, and he has a really clean, natural throwing process. It's going to look different. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. It's going to look different than probably what you've seen. And as much as I love Big Hank Bachmeier, he was probably one of the more, nationally recognized recruits at the position in the program's history. Malachi's going to look a little different just in terms of how smooth the throwing process and stroke is. You'll notice that right off the bat. There's always working in with new receivers, new balls are breaking in first day of practice. There'll be some stuff that, you'll be like, oh, there's some inaccuracies. I think the quarterback position, there always is a first impression. But you always have to take the first impression with a grain of salt and realize that this is a long game before even training camp really starts. So I think it's going to be, you're going to notice that he looks different throwing the football than anybody in the history of the program.
It feels like it. Well, let's get some comments on the screen here for Ball Talk. We'll get you out of here and address some of these questions you guys might have. We can throw those on there. One question I do have for you, Coach. The last wide receiver taken number 1 overall in the NFL draft was Keyshawn Johnson out of USC in 1996. He probably had a pretty good receivers coach down there at SC, huh?
That was my dad. So my dad recruited him out of I think it was LA Harbor.
He was a JC kid. He recruited
him out of LA Harbor Junior College. And my dad was at a game where Keyshawn caught a 65-yard touchdown, split the safeties, and he took it straight to the concession stand and got a hot dog, then came back on the sideline eating a glizzy on the sideline, man. So my dad's like, yeah, I like this dude.
Dude, those JC, and I've watched them, those Southern California JC football games, you have no idea what's going to happen on the field, in the stands. I mean, those things are crazy. You've seen a lot more of them than I have. It can be the
Wild West out there, man, and I'm here for all of it. Oh, man. I love it. You know what's funny about junior college kids? I love the passion, the drive, and frankly, the freedom that junior college players have. So you probably have heard about these satellite camps that we in college football have been doing to go evaluate talent. Well, typically it's high school age players. And nowadays you'll end up having some junior college guys just show up. Like it's a high school camp that Sac State's putting on in Sacramento. And you'll have like a group of 20 JUCO guys that just go out there and jump in one-on-ones, drill work. A lot of times they'll tell a coach, hey, I'm going to go work out at this. Are you going to be at this event? Take a look at me. And the best is watching the JUCO guys against high school kids. And just, they'll take reps for 6.5 consecutive hours.
They will. Yeah.
They're fighting for their football life.
Yeah.
Like they are looking for a dang meal plan. And it's awesome to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's literally like they're trying to have somebody say, I'll pay for your school. I'll pay for your opportunity to play college football. It's amazing to see. And frankly, it's one of my best friends, Clay Patterson, who's now the co-offensive coordinator at Kent State. He was a JUCO head coach at Northeast Oklahoma, NEO, one of the best programs in middle America in the junior college ranks. And I love going to these events with him because he loves the junior college guys because he knows that they're just fighting and scratching and crawling for anything that they can get. It's awesome.
Now, JUCO football, I mean, I know the coach at Blinn College in Texas. Good program there. I'm good buddies with the head coach there, and it's funny to hear the JC stories. Coach,
is Blinn a Cam Newtoner?
Yes. Cam Newton went. They had several other big names too, but I want to talk Colorado Avalanche. That was the truth. You were tweeting NHL trade deadline for your Avs. You are really fitting in well with altitude there. Like in Denver, and you have all four majors. You have MLS. You have a couple of different collegiate conferences. Like so much on your plate there. I wanted to know, you're really digging into hockey over there, huh?
I am. And ironically, I've always loved hockey in different phases of my life. So my dad coaching at USC, I'm a grade school into high school. It was the Wayne Gretzky era of LA Kings hockey. So I was around, Robitaille and Gretzky. And then we, when I'm coaching at Stanford, the San Jose Sharks were the team. And I started going to all the games because the director of football ops and I were best friends. And we started going to, big time players, guys that they made a cup run. And then when I was actually as a head coach at Western Kentucky, they had WKU alumni night at a Preds game, at a Nashville Predators game. And I got to be the awkward ceremonial Zamboni driver where I just waved at people for 20 minutes as the Zamboni goes over the ice. And they ended up going to the dang Stanley Cup that year. So I might have that Tom Brady effect where wherever I go, the teams around me just happen to get better. But somehow,
you do kind of have that. Yeah.
Somehow, some way, the problem has been the teams that I'm actually employed by haven't always gotten better, Johnny. And that's a challenge. That's the difference between me and Tom Brady.
I remember that PK Subban run in Nashville. What you're talking about.
I have his jersey. I have a PK Subban Preds jersey.
Of course you do. I would have a Coach Sanford jersey. I should have a Coach Sanford jersey, but I haven't no one's mailed it to me yet for winning a contest. But
I'm more of an in-person delivery guy. When you have something that valuable, an actual Dale Holste issued Russell Athletic 2001 whack Boise State jersey, you can't put that in the hands of FedEx or
you're probably
United
right.
States Postal Service. You got to deliver it hand by hand. And I'll do it for the spring game. Me and Anne-Marie coming out. It'd be a wild time.
Oh, you'll be here for the spring game?
If you let me. If you'll actually show up, Johnny. Last time I came for the New Mexico game, you were blowing hot COVID apparently. I don't know.
I'll be there. All right, Coach, a couple of these. I hope Malachi is far enough along come fall to be the starter, and he's miles ahead of natural ability. I think that's kind of the general consensus, right? People are rooting. You always kind of want the 5-star to get the gig, but I don't know. We'll see, right?
It's a dead sprint to the development from here until the opening game of the season to get your most naturally talented quarterback at the position, which is the most important position on the field. It's going to be a dead sprint to get him ready. And if he's not ready, he's not ready.
How do you address the comment on the screen right there from Logan Torrigan? I don't think coaches care. Basically, he's saying if Malachi doesn't start, then you're worried that he's, in the portal. I don't think coaches can worry about all that much anymore, Coach. It's like you just got a coach who's in the building. But
yeah, the thing that's interesting even about the Dirk Cutter decision to hire him is that college football has moved more to a coach just the season in front of you. Yeah, that's a lot of what college football's come to. And frankly, that's what I don't like about college football right now, because I like the long-term relationships. I like the long-term development. And I still believe that Boise State can and should continue to be a developmental program that is in it for the long game with individual athletes and their development.
You see some scenarios where, Mad Dog just flat out beats out Malachi. I think that's well in play.
I think it absolutely is. And I think, how he comes back, Maddox Madsen, from a health perspective, no limitations will be really important for his game. Because I don't think he's necessarily just going to sit back and pick you apart from the pocket. I think he has the ability to make great throws. But his full skill set is best on display when he's able to extend plays, take off, get those hard yards at or near the sticks. So I think his full availability and full health and recovery as an athlete, I think is going to be very important.
A couple more of these. Andrew Hill, coach, mad respect for the bleed blue attitude. He's a huge BSU fan since he was a kid, signed up to finish his bachelor's degree at BSU because he wants to be like Mike Sanford, a proud alum.
Hey, you know what, Andrew? Good on you, man. Good on you. Good on you,
Hell
not
yeah.
just for your love of the program, but good on you to go back. And I'll say this, one of the unique things about going to Boise State that I didn't understand when I first went to Boise State is that I had students in my classes. I was a political science major. I had students in my classes that were sometimes 25, 35, 40 years older than me. And I'm like, this is a different deal than I thought it was going to be. And the more I was able to have relationships and have conversations with people that were coming back from another career and getting their degree, it's such an amazing part of Boise State. And people can use that and throw shade at Boise State. I think that it's such an accessible university to be able to come back and finish your degree. And good on you for doing that, Andrew. Proud of you, man.
Good stuff. Coach, I got a question. I am, and you know this, but I am a lifelong diehard to the core, to the part that, I've considered therapy at times for my relationship with the Seattle Seahawks. The week is made when they win. The week is ruined when they lose. I'll go to bed when they lose on Sunday in the afternoon because I can't see or think about anything on football, or I'll put a Western on TV like Tombstone or Unforgiven. That's my go-to when the Hawks lose. I just get away from football and watch a Western. Your boy, you've touched his butt as many times as a lot of people in your life, maybe even including your lovely wife, Anne Marie. I'm talking about Scott Huff.
I think I might still have a little of the waft of Scott Huff. Clayton Adams over here. A lot of snaps, a lot of practice snaps right there.
Dude, Scott Huff is the new O-line coach for my Seahawks. He's never coached in the NFL, but I don't think that matters as much. I wanted your opinion on it. You played with Scott Huff. You coached with Scott Huff. He has a better reputation than any other Boise State assistant coach that I've ever heard people talk about.
Agreed.
Rid too, but people, you get them talking about Scooter and they're like, oh, he's smarter about the offensive line than anybody I've ever talked to. And this, and I love the fact that he's a Seahawk. How's this going to work for your boy in Seattle?
There'll be an adjustment period because the NFL game and there's just it's so much more finite in terms of like you're running this exact play versus this exact front. And I thought some of Scooter's secret sauce was the ability to play with fast tempo as an offensive coordinator and have the O-line coach cover a lot of the multitude of sins to help, with the center position, redirecting things and changing things at the line of scrimmage right before the snap. Scooter's more, he is so bright. He'll be able to adapt to the NFL game, but it will be because the quarterbacks in the NFL are they're required to get you to the right play. Whereas in a lot of college offenses, the center makes sure that you can block any front and you can block any, type of rotation of the safeties entering into the box or edge pressure. Scooter's a guy that one of the only guys that I've ever been around that could do that with the offensive line group, get it coached up, and then you could still have effective tempo, and still run the football against looks that might not be ideal for said initial run call. I think he's going to be phenomenal. And the reason I think he's going to be phenomenal is not that he's intelligent, not that he knows more offensive line play than other guys in the NFL, but because he's a real dude, man. And relationships really matter. They matter at every level of football. And that group of offensive linemen are going to fall in love with Scott Huff because he's honest. He's real. He has no ulterior motives. He's not just looking for the next job, the next promotion. He's just a real, genuine human being. And I think he's going to absolutely kill it.
I do too. I think the Seahawks are going to have a terrific offensive line, and I'm going to love it with Scott Huff every bit of the way. Is an offensive line coach a good one? An OC's right-hand man.
Oh, man.
Right? Is that kind of...
I go from saying in 2014 with Scott Huff, the best of the best, 2011, 12, and 13, even though he had the title of offensive coordinator, Mike Bloomgren, who's now the head coach of Rice. I was the pass game coordinator, quarterback receiver coach.
Stanford?
At Stanford, the best of the best. Like I went from 4 years of as good as it get. Then I go to Notre Dame. I have Harry Heastand, who's one of the best O-line coaches historically over the last 30 years of college and pro football. And then I had a situation at Minnesota where it was not a fit. It wasn't a fit schematically, wasn't a fit personality wise, and it was hard. It makes the job miserable when that synergy is not there with your O-line coach.
I love it. Yep. And Scott Huff, Seattle. It's going to be fun. Dirk and Tim Keene have worked together before. I don't think Boise State's going to have any problems with that situation. I guess we'll get everybody out of here, Coach. It's been a fun one. And spring ball kickoff tomorrow, 8:45. All the coverage on BNN. Sanford, I know you'll be following us, man. I wish you were going to be there, but we'll see you in the spring game.
Yeah, I'll be around for the spring game. Just looking to reconnect with some former teammates of mine, man. Apparently there's a lot of big time events. Darren College has been sending out the emails with the
nice.
I always feel as an alumni B.
Was he fun to party with, College?
Yeah.
It feels like it.
Especially in the era of he got wifed up pretty quickly, and he was a gray shirt, but he came in from North Pole, Alaska, mid-year, and came in in January, and we'd already been there since August. He gets there in January at Chaffee Hall, and I'll never forget. We had some great memories in Chaffee Hall, man. We definitely Chaffee Hall maybe didn't see for the next 30 years what it saw maybe in that calendar year between 2000 and 2001.
What was it like being Ryan Dinwiddie's wingman on the field, but also maybe off the field at a party?
RD, man, he's one of one, man. That's all you can say. He has those eyes, man. He just had intensity in his eyes. He was a lone wolf sometimes,
Did
man.
He crush a beer? I mean, he's pretty quick, fast beer chugger.
I mean, name any player from that era that wasn't a fast beer chugger. I mean, it was unbelievable. The funniest thing is that the best house that everybody went to, because there are no fraternities and sororities at BSU, it was Scott Huff. Scott Huff was Sigma Alpha Epsilon. I mean, that was his house. It was the best. We had some great moments, man. Memories. Matt Navist and Rob Vian. And then, of course, those guys giving Darren College all the hell in the world for being, a gray shirt from North Pole, Alaska, and, coming in hot and sending it every night. It was awesome, man. Great time.
Oh, man. I love your era of BSU stuff. That's Ball Talk, Coach. Spring Camp Edition, episode 1. I don't know when we're going to come back. I know we'll be doing Vegas next week, but
so we can announce it right now. There will be no show next Sunday. I'm going to be on spring break with my family, and guess where we're going?
Mexico.
We already talked about hockey, basketball, football, but what's coming up, Johnny? It's coming up.
The Final Four?
Baseball. I'm going down to spring training, and we're going to get some Cactus League ball in, man, down there in Scottsdale. We're going to watch a bunch of Giants, the Rockies, all live reports for altitude on those Rockies that are on their way to 47 wins this year. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I love it. All right, Coach. Be well, man. Great stuff tonight.
Appreciate you, man. It's fun to be back on, and love our viewers, love our listeners, love our comments. Let's keep building this show, growing the show, and make sure that anytime somebody tunes in, they learn something about this game, and most importantly, they learn how awesome Johnny Ballgame is.
Shout out to all the sponsors who support BJ Rains. I'm wearing my Cirker shirt, my BNN hat, Cutwater, Canned Spirits, Cocktail Studios, and Coach, this is going to be one of the biggest weeks in BNN history. You have the most highly anticipated spring ball in the history of BNN, and you have the Mountain West Conference tournament, the best matchups, the best bracket that tournament's probably put out in a long time. So good stuff on BNN. Appreciate you, Coach.
Hey, make sure you guys say hello to my boy Nate Kreckman. He's going to be down there in Vegas. for reporting, and covering for Altitude
I love
Sports.
Kreckman, man.
Because frankly, right now we're in Pac-12, Big 12 country-ish with CU. The best basketball conference in the Western United States right now is without a question the Mountain West Conference. It is going to be electric. I cannot wait to watch Max Rice throw 62-foot daggers and just get on Sports Center.
What did you think of that three? I mean,
it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts.
I mean, just freaking Max, man.
Yeah, we'll make sure you guys all say hello to my boy Nate Kreckman. And until 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be back. And we'll be back with a vengeance. Can't wait for the updates and reports with boots on the ground with BJ and you at practice over the coming days and weeks.
That's Ball Talk right here on BNN.